everyone, my name is Brittany and welcome back to my channel. And today I'll be reading 3 very anticipated thrillers.
It's Brittany, bitch.
I've really been in the mood for thrillers, but I kind of picked a couple of different ones. They're not all the same genre specifically. And I haven't decided which one I'm going to start with first. I have not started any of these 3 books, and I don't know which one I will start with, even though I do have the audiobook for one of them right now. So that one may be my first option, but it's definitely not decided. The first one is Insomnia by Sarah Pinborough. She is the author of the book Behind Her Eyes that captivated the world and it was turned into a series. I'm not really sure if this book is as crazy as that one, so we're definitely gonna see. But basically our main character, she's gonna turn 40 soon, and that's when her mother went crazy because she couldn't sleep and now she's having a hard time sleeping. That's all I really know. I'm gonna go into as blind as I can. I do have the audiobook for this one coming up in a few weeks, so I might put this one off just in case, because I like to have the option of the audiobook, but this one definitely sounds very intriguing. The next one is The 22 Murders of Madison May, and this one is like a sci-fi thriller. It's kind of like with parallel universes. She's like a 22-year-old real estate agent, and some man comes in who says he knows her and he's her soulmate and she's in danger and she needs to get out of there, and then she keeps getting like murdered, and she has to like find out why through different parallel universes. That's kind of my understanding of this book. I haven't even looked into it. I think I was suggested by Reagan from Perusing, what's her name? Peruse Reads? I don't remember. Anyway, I think it was suggested by her, and this is like really interesting. I like sci-fi thrillers, so this one sounded kind of fun, and it obviously is a little bit different than a traditional thriller, so I'm always down to like kind of switch up my thrillers too, because I don't like reading the same things over and over. I just feel like I really need kind of a genre change, and at least if it's a sci-fi thriller, it's not the same as like a psychological thriller. And the last one, Disappearing Earth. Now I do have the audiobook for this one. This is the one I thought about starting first just because I already have the audio, and apparently this takes place in Russia and 2 girls go missing, and then I believe it's kind of told through the lives of the other people in the town. It reminds me a little bit of like what Bear Town sounded like when I read it. It's just kind of like you're kind of going through the entire town, different people's perspectives, and maybe what led up to them missing, something like that. It sounds really interesting. So this one sounds really fun and different. It's kind of like obviously a missing person thriller, but it seems like it's more of like a literary fiction thriller. So again, I have books in all different categories for this reading vlog. I'm very excited to get into them, but this one, I'm not sure if I'm really feeling literary fiction right now, but maybe I am. We will figure out, but no matter what, I just really hope that I'm not in the middle of one and then I have to return to the library, because I have not been reading very quickly at all. Last month I read 2 books. So already 3 books is pretty impressive, and I have a second reading vlog I'm doing right now with other books. So I just have a lot going on. But I don't know which one I'm going to start first. I feel like it should be this one, but I will let you know in the next clip what I decide, because I haven't decided. No idea. I wanted to fill you guys in on Disappearing Earth, which is the first book that I did end up picking up. And I'm actually 60% of the way into this on audio, and it is definitely not a mystery or a thriller. And I did know that going into it, that it wasn't going to have serious mystery or thriller vibes, but it does not feel that way at all. I would not even classify it as a mystery or a thriller. I would 100% think this is a literary fiction. And that's totally fine. I just feel like it was definitely mismarketed, and it definitely would not be in this video if it was not marketed as a mystery thriller, because I at least thought there was gonna be a little bit more of like a running thread through all the different stories of a mystery, but it's not there at all. So in the first chapter, the 2 girls go missing, and we know that they're obviously kidnapped, and we know that like the true story, what actually happened, and then we basically go through different months with different people, and they're not connected whatsoever. So I'm currently on March, and the last chapter was February, and they're all different people narrating these, and they're all women, which is great. I think that's definitely something that was purposeful, and I do like that choice. However, I just feel like, what is the point of all these different stories? All these different women are having different stories, and they barely touch on the missing girls. Like, it's very, very seldomly discussed in each chapter, and I just don't really understand like the relevance. I guess it's just, I don't know. If this was definitely more of a literary fiction and that it was said as such, I wouldn't question it as much, but especially being a mystery thriller, I thought there was gonna be more of like a thread, or we were gonna follow like the detective, like looking for them, or something that would have like tied this together more, but it really just feels like a bunch of short stories about women in this area, and 2 girls just happen to go missing. And that could definitely be like the point of this. It just really wasn't what I was expecting, even though I knew it wasn't gonna be like a full mystery or thriller. Like, I knew it was definitely gonna be different. I don't know if I'm loving it. I mean, I don't want to like DNF it. It's not bad, but it's also because I have the audio. So the audio is definitely helpful. I really like the narrator. It's working well. I find it interesting to listen to. However, some chapters I don't find as interesting. Some chapters I really enjoy, and this chapter I'm on right now, I could give two shits about. I don't care about the characters at all. I think one of the best chapters obviously was the opening chapter where the girls are missing and kidnapped, and it was very strong. And then there's a couple chapters in between I've enjoyed. If I'm also like paying attention well enough to know much about these stories, but I also couldn't tell you anybody's names. Like I couldn't actually tell you like whose names I'm remembering. I know like what chapter we're on, like who it is that's like the main person, but other than that, I don't know. So I'll probably talk to you guys when I finish this, but I'm just not really sure how I feel about it. I just also don't think it's supposed to be in this category. It just does not have any air of mystery about it at all, other than confusion of like why this is supposed to be a mystery thriller. I don't know. It just feels like a collection of short stories that just were not put together or woven together. And I don't always like when they interconnect like overly much, but I like a little bit of a thread of connection would be nice. I know that later on I'm supposed to like be in the head of the mother. That could be cool, but I just feel like the rest of the novel just so far, I'm just like, it's very meandering. Like where are we going with this? I don't know. We're gonna find out. I'll let you guys know how I feel whenever I finish it. Why do you have to leave? So I finished Disappearing Earth, and unfortunately, I'm gonna give it 1 star. I just did not really enjoy this book. It took me like 3 weeks to finish this on audio. It just really wasn't what I was looking for. And even though I knew it wasn't supposed to be a thriller, it just did not have any thrillery aspects. It wasn't even really an interesting literary fiction. Like it just was missing a lot. Like I just don't understand the whole point of this book. If you love literary fiction and you don't need a story, you don't need interconnection, you don't need plots, you might enjoy this, but I just didn't really find this character study that interesting to begin with. I mean, I liked the idea of it. I just feel like the execution didn't do anything for me, and I didn't connect with any of the characters, and none of the stories connected, and they barely talked about the missing girls in each story. What was the point? If you want to know more, go check out my review, but honestly, I feel like my review doesn't really have that much in it anyway, because it's kind of hard to review a book that doesn't really have a whole lot going on. Like I feel like that's why everyone else's reviews of this book are very like cryptic, is because there's really not enough to say about it. Didn't love it. It's getting a 1 star. I wouldn't personally read it again. Beautiful cover. That's it. Now on to Insomnia, which I am 83 pages of the way into, and yeah, so far I would agree with what Gabby Reed said in her review, that it's kind of boring up until about this point, and now it's starting to get a little bit interesting, where we obviously know that the mom is having a hard time sleeping, and there's something to do with her mom. Like ever since her mom turned 40, when she was a little girl, her mom basically kind of started going batshit. So the mom is kind of freaking out, and she's a lawyer, and she's a really busy job, and she knows something is going wrong. She hasn't been able to sleep like the past 5 days at this point. And the problem is it's getting a little weird and creepy in a good way. What? I am talking. And what's happening is that she's like repeating numbers like her mom did. Like it's just kind of weird, and I don't really know what the reason is behind that. She had to hit the fucking camera stand. Jesus Christ. Anyway, and so she actually like dictated like something for one of her cases and gave it to her assistant, and when her assistant gave it back to her, she was like, there's just a bunch of like numbers on this, and it like freaked her out. I don't know what that's about. That's a very interesting concept. So I'm hoping now it's going to take off, but also I really just haven't really been in the mood to be reading. I mean, obviously Disappearing Earth took me like a fucking month to read, and it was on audio, but also I didn't really enjoy it. This, I think if I had the audio, I could go through it a lot faster, and I'm still waiting for the audio. But in the meantime, I'm just not reading a whole lot. I'm not reading anything at night that isn't like happy or like self-help. So during the day is when I get to read this, and I don't really have the time. Work has been really crazy. I just finished, now I'm going to the gym, and then I have to go make dinner, and then I have to edit this, and it's just this whole big cycle. Like there's really not a whole lot of like time to read lately for me, and that's totally fine, but it's definitely like making my videos take a lot longer to obviously get out. And obviously with my slump, that's kind of happened the last like 6 months of the year. I'm not really in any rush to finish a book, but also like I'm really craving some other books that just aren't thrillers, I guess now. Like it's almost like I waited too long for my thriller thing to pass, and now we're here. So I'll let you know when I get more like halfway into this and see what's going on. But so far it's interesting, and I like the idea of her kind of going batshit and not being able to sleep, because also when you can't sleep, you start going batshit anyway. So like I wonder like what the big twist is, because I know that Sarah Pinborough like is really well known for her big twists, and I'm very curious to see what's gonna happen. So hopefully it's good. I could really use a good book about now. So I just got home getting my nails done, and by the way, I don't know why I don't do black more, even though I know it's summertime. Like, it's one of my favorite like nail colors and my favorite color in general, so I just don't understand why I limit myself to like once or twice a year getting it done. But anyway, I'm actually 70% of the way into Insomnia. I listened to it today on audiobook, which is so funny because literally yesterday I filmed and I didn't have the audiobook, and then this morning when I woke up I had it. So I'm already at that 70% mark and I'm enjoying it. It's just very repetitive. Like, we understand the whole point of like she's kind of going crazy, or we don't know. She's kind of like all of a sudden like waking up and she's like at a cupboard like muttering to herself, and she's just obviously going a little batshit. But the only real big plot really is with like her mom and her sister, and like her mom ends up dying and they're trying to blame the murder on her, and it's just kind of like a whole bunch of like blaming of what's happening, and it's kind of confusing, but like I guess in a good way. I don't know. It's definitely a little bit repetitive, and I feel like at this point I would like something else to like happen in the book. So I'll probably end up finishing it tomorrow on audio. It just also like just kind of depends on my work schedule and stuff, because I'm covering for somebody tomorrow, so I might not have the opportunity to do that. I don't know. But I mean, so far so good. It's not bad by any means. It's just definitely, it just kind of keeps going in circles. Like, I feel like we already touched on that point. We already know she's having family issues. She's having marriage issues. She doesn't trust her sister. She's trying to blame the murder on her sister. They find out like it probably wasn't the sister. I want to know what's going on. And I feel like it might be something supernatural again, like her other ending, and I'm hoping it is, because I do like that kind of stuff, so I'm hoping that's what it is. But if it's not, I'll probably be really disappointed. We'll kind of see what it is, and I'll hopefully finish it tomorrow and give you guys an update, because I'm definitely interested in it. It's been a lot better to listen to than Disappearing Earth, because that literally took me almost, I think it was actually almost a full month on audio, because I was just so fucking bored. This book at least keeping my attention. I listened to it literally all day at work. I didn't even watch YouTube or anything. I was actually just quite interested in what's going to happen, because I want to know. So we'll see what happens, and I'll give you guys an update tomorrow. And now I'm going to go to the gym, and then I'm going to make garlic chicken for dinner. I never take a picture of it. It does not look good, but it tastes amazing. And then I'm going to make myself some tri-slice cake, because I made one for our neighbor last week, and now I want one for myself, and that's going to happen. I finished Insomnia yesterday, and I think I'm going to give this 3 stars. I just feel like it was pretty repetitive. It was kind of boring at some points, but I think the reason I enjoyed it so much is because I was like expecting something crazy to happen in the end, which is what happened in her other novel, and it didn't really let me down. I just feel like the ending was underwhelming. Maybe she just had the standards really high for the first book of hers that I read, but I just feel like it wasn't the ending that I was anticipating. But also I feel like there were so many plot holes in that ending. I was just so like, not like confused, but like, how did you put that together? How does that make sense? I just feel like there were so many like missing parts that just didn't correlate. I was really going between a 2 and a 3, because I just feel like it's so painfully average and like okay, but at the same time, like, I loved the concept of like her not being able to sleep, and she's just like kind of going mad, and we don't really know what's going on, and she's like repeating numbers, like all these crazy things that keep going on. You're just like, what is happening? Like, what a brilliant concept, and I really liked a lot of that part. I just feel like it was very repetitive in other parts, but I mean, overall, I feel like in Behind Her Eyes, I thought the rest of the book was pretty boring. The ending was batshit crazy, and I loved it. But this one, I feel like I enjoyed more of like the whole of the novel, and then the ending was not what I wanted. So to make this short and sweet, 3 stars, that's pretty much it. I really don't have many other feelings about it too, which also is like not always a good sign. I feel like I don't really have much to say, but also it's a thriller, so I can't really give away too much, but there also really wasn't a whole lot to give away. But the person who was involved, I knew from the beginning. That's all I'll say. And I usually have a pretty good gut feeling about this, but I just know how it's going to transpire. It just didn't transpire the way I wanted, so 3 stars rounded up. So now I'm on to the last book of this reading vlog, and unfortunately I don't have an audiobook for this, and I've looked everywhere, so I'm gonna have to read this physically, so it might take me a few weeks. This is kind of like a sci-fi thriller where someone named Felicity is trying to put together like the murders of Madison May, and I think there's like time and all these crazy things going on because she's murdered like 22 times or whatever. So I'm looking forward to this. I started trying to read it, and it was a little bit slower than I was wanting, but we'll see if it picks up. And obviously, since I don't have an audiobook for this, I'm going to give myself probably like a good 2 weeks to read it, just because obviously, especially thrillers, I don't read at night. So since it's not like a happy, good feeling book, I'm assuming it's only going to get read during the day, and it's just I don't really take lunches. We'll see. But it's the last book we have, and I hope it's better than the other ones in this vlog. So I'm finally 200 pages into this book, and it's honestly taken me probably about a month and a half to actually do that. It's definitely gotten better, and it's weird though because a lot of the reviews say that they were really captured from the beginning and then their like interest kind of waned. But for me, I wasn't interested really in the beginning. I was just kind of more confused, and I didn't really understand like how the book was being set up. And then now that I'm farther into it, I'm getting it more. The whole premise of this is that Madison May keeps being murdered in different multiverses, basically. And then a reporter in our like current timeline, she somehow gets kind of like roped into this whole situation and finds out what's going on with Madison and kind of takes it upon herself to protect Madison at every turn. And her name is Felicity, and she's just kind of trying to figure out like what's going on, how this multiverse situation works, and how to stop the whole murdering thing. Basically, some guy fell in love with Madison May in a different timeline where she was an actress, and then he keeps trying to go to different multiverses trying to find her when she's an actress, so he'll like get her to fall in love with him or something. And he just keeps murdering her in different universes whenever he finds out that she's like not that version of her. I feel like there should be a lot more twists and turns in this so far. Not a whole lot has happened. We're basically going through different multiverses, like going through like the different scenarios of Madison being murdered and like Felicity trying to like help prevent that from happening. I like the thrillery part of this where it's like it's kind of fast paced, and I'm definitely trying to like pay attention to what's going on. I just don't really know if I'm like super interested in this story. Like I don't really feel like I care that much about Madison May as a character to really care that she's getting murdered in different multiverses. I know that may sound like really heartless, but like the premise of it like sounds interesting, but like when I'm reading it, I'm like, why should I really care? I mean, I guess the guy is kind of like ruining some of the timelines, but it's not like enough to me to like actually give a shit. It's not like he's like causing the world to like end or something, which I guess could happen towards the end. But so far, I just feel like kind of find little breadcrumbs that they're leaving to like make sense of why this is a thing, why anybody cares. Kind of haven't understood that yet. Finally, we're getting somewhere where I understand what's happening, and this book is only 322 pages, I think, so I have like basically 122 left of this, so I will let you guys know when I finish it and how I feel about it. But so far, it's like, it's good. It's not bad by any means. It's just like really not like my favorite book of all time. It's not like the 5-star I was kind of expecting from this. I don't know. It could just be the premise. It could just be I'm not connecting to the writing. I'm not connecting to the characters. But also, I just really don't know why I should actually care about Madison May as a person. We were only really given like one chapter from like her like perspective, and then we're kind of given a couple other chapters of her in other multiverses. But like I don't really care about her as a character enough to like care that she's getting murdered, which sounds like really messed up. But why does this matter? So hopefully that question will be answered a little bit later in this book. So I turned off my car so you can hear me better, but it's still pretty hot outside and I need air conditioning, so I'm gonna try to make this as quick as I possibly can. But I did finish The 22 Murders of Madison May. I just finished it this morning, and I really like the beginning and the ending of this book. I don't really like the middle. I feel like the middle doesn't really add a whole lot to the story. Like once we get to like what we need to understand, I still don't understand why this girl is so important. It doesn't really make any sense, but I liked the ending. And sorry, someone almost like literally hit my car. I like the ending and I like the beginning, but the middle just really sagged for me. So I think I'm gonna like round this up to 3 stars, but it definitely wasn't something I'm gonna like really remember. But I liked the way it wrapped up. I liked the way that things kind of came full circle in a different way. I like the idea of speculative fiction, but I just feel like this one doesn't really examine that aspect too much, and I really was expecting more like murderous intent or something. I don't know. I wanted something a little more interesting. I feel like the idea of her being murdered through time over and over and over is like a really interesting concept. But when it came down to it, it just wasn't always that interesting. I mean, some of them were, and some of them just definitely were not. Like, and I can't really explain why some of them were and some of them were not, but it just almost felt like this could have been like a much shorter story and it'd be told a little bit differently, and I would have gotten the same exact thing out of it, which is definitely a shame. But I was also hoping for a little bit more of like the science fiction-y side of this, and there's pretty much zero other than this little egg that helps them like transport through time. I really wish there was more spent on that, because I care more about how it's impacting other people, not just like one person. Because obviously this like psycho stalker is going through time trying to find like his perfect version of Madison May, which is an interesting concept in and of itself, but like that's not enough for a whole book in my opinion. And I still don't understand like why Felicity, who's our other main character, like felt so obligated to go help her and like track this guy down. I didn't really understand like her motives behind it. Like, I don't know, I feel like there needs to be more motive. Like if she had like a younger sister who was murdered a long time ago or something and they never caught the guy, like I can understand more of like a drive to help her, but Felicity herself going through time to help and stop this dude just didn't really make sense. I don't really spoil it too much, but I just feel like there's not a whole lot to this. I don't really know how else to explain that, but I don't know. If you've read this and you liked it, let me know. If you read it and you didn't like it, also let me know, because I'm just kind of curious. Maybe I'm just being a little harsh because I am such a science fiction fan, but it really just didn't lean heavy on that at all. It was more of just like speculative fiction more than like a speculative murder story. But anyway, it's getting incredibly hot, so I'm going to go into the library and go ahead and return this couple other books, and I will talk to you guys next time. Bye!